Welcome to Bangers and Smash. In this video, we're going to talk about avocados.
No, we're not.
But I've already done the title screen. Do I look fat? Do I need to brief in a bit more? Okay. So, we're not actually going to talk about avocados today. We're going to talk about this. My very first Leica, the Canadian-made M4-P. So I bought the camera in London back in 2012, and at the time the Leica M4-P wasn't a particularly desirable camera. So back then I was doing a lot of photography with digital cameras, and I'd seen a lot of people doing street photography using a Leica, so I just had to scratch that itch and buy one and just experience what it was like. The M6 and the classic M cameras were way out of my price range, so the most accessible way for me to experience using a Leica was by purchasing a Leica M4-P. Since buying the camera, it's travelled all over the world with me and has been used in the rain, the snow, in deserts, and even been tear gassed and water cannoned in Istanbul, believe it or not. So this particular camera was produced in 1980, and ever since I've owned it, I've never had it serviced or CLA'd. Despite that, it's never missed a shot. A 40-year-old anything that works without any major issues kind of proves that the Canadian-made Leica M cameras are just as bulletproof as their German counterparts. So Leica started production of the M4-P back in 1980, and it was a follow-up to the M4 II, a camera that reverted back to the classic Leica M silhouette after disappointing sales of the Leica M5. Compared to the M4, the M4 II introduced a hot shoe and an ability to use a motor winder with the camera. The M4-P also introduced 28mm and 75mm frame lines. There are a few things I don't like about the Leica M4-P, but they're just minor niggles that aren't really big issues, to be honest. Firstly, there's too much over-branding on the camera. This was the 80s, a simpler time when mullets were actually cool, and Leica wasn't trying to be a luxury jewelry brand for men like it is today. I guess you could cover up all of the logos with black electrical tape if you wanted to look like a creepy ninja with an unhealthy bondage fetish. The second thing I don't like about the camera is the horrible vinyl material they used for the grip. The material is very brittle and has started to flake away. I've considered replacing the material with a new wrap, but part of me wants to keep this original and let the imperfections tell a story of the life of the camera. The material used on the M3, M4 and M2 is much better in my opinion. My final issue with the camera is that there's no good way to record what type of film you have in the camera in terms of ISO speed. They just used a very simple round dial on the back that you can't set anything to. There are a few videos on YouTube trying to compare the M4-P with the M6 in almost like a death match. This is a bit silly, to be honest, because the M4-P... Alarm! It's the second time they tested it today.
I heard in the morning. What are they testing for?
They're testing the alarm. There are a few videos on YouTube trying to compare the M4-P with the M6 in almost like a death match. This is a bit stupid in my opinion. The M4-P is essentially an M6 with a broken light meter. They're the same camera. One has a light meter, one doesn't. When I got this camera, it was pretty on in my exploration of film photography, and not having a light meter to rely on was actually quite good for me to learn how to read the light in certain situations. So if you're in a similar position, you might find it actually beneficial to use a camera without a light meter for a while. That being said, if you have the money, having an inbuilt light meter makes life much easier. It means you have to carry less things around with you. If you're thinking about buying a Canadian made Leica, make sure you do your research. Try to avoid the duds out there, but it's very unlikely that you would lose any money by buying a used Leica M body. Actually, you'll probably go bankrupt if Kodak keep increasing their film prices, but in terms of the camera bodies, you should be fine. Ultimately, all Leica M film bodies are fairly old-fashioned mechanical boxes that capture light like any other type of camera. It's the lenses and the talent behind the camera that create the good photographs. That being said, if owning something like a Leica gets you out more, taking more pictures, that's a good thing. So there you have it, the Leica M4-P, a camera that started a very unhealthy and expensive hobby for me. This particular camera is going to stay in my collection probably for the rest of my life. If you liked the video, have any comments, put them down below. If not, go away.